I now call upon Emily Deschanel to deliver the 152nd commencement address of Boston University.
Thank you, President Gilliam. I sound amazing when you talk about me. It is a privilege to be here with you today and to celebrate the Boston University class of 2025. There are a lot of brilliant young minds here today. Some of you studied law, I believe. Some of you studied medicine. Some of you studied business, to name a few. Okay. To just name a few, I've pretended to do all of those jobs, or your future jobs. I've played a lawyer. I've played a doctor. I've played a CEO. I've also played a serial killer, a heroin addict, an ex-con. And then there are the wives. I played an astronaut's wife, a basketball coach's wife, a contractor's wife. I've played a lot of wives. I've also played an ex-wife and a widow. What I'm saying is, I have range. But the one role I've never played is commencement speaker at my alma mater, the greatest school on God's green earth, Boston University. Go Terriers! I am truly honored to be here. And I guess now, thanks to this honorary degree, I actually am a doctor. No take-backs, sorry. It is so good to return to campus. It is here on these hallowed grounds where I ate way too much Captain Crunch for dinner every night over there at West Campus Dining Hall. It's here where I snuck a friend of a friend into Claflin Hall after hours in a duffel bag. Alive. She was alive. I just want to make sure that's clear. I feel like that's important to say. It's also here where many times I hung out with my friends at our favorite bar, which was really just an unlicensed speakeasy in some guy's apartment in Lower Alston on Hooker Street. It's here where I got used to saying Hooker Street without batting an eye. And now, here I am again, only this time with the terrifying expectation that I will have words of insight, experience, and inspiration to offer a stadium full of new graduates, and even more terrifying, the proud family members and loved ones who helped them get here. Now, despite this mind-blowing title bestowed upon me today, let's be clear. I am not a brilliant mind. I just play them on TV. You might call me smart presenting. So when I was invited to come here and address you, I found myself asking, what in the world can I contribute? What do I, who was once graded on how well I could act like a zoo animal, have to offer to graduates, go CFA, who are about to enter the world as reflective, resourceful individuals ready to lead in an interconnected world, according to BU's mission. After all, I am not a world-renowned dignitary, a Nobel Prize-winning scientist, nor even a visionary CEO. I'm an actor. I just pretend for a living. But then I realized pretending is one word for what actors do, only one word. What we really do is try to understand people, to have empathy for them. We ask, what makes someone tick? What are they afraid of? What do they want? That's what I spent my whole life trying to do, and I've come to believe it's one of the most powerful tools we have, not just as artists, but as people. Empathy. That is what I'm here to convey to you today. Now, my junior year at BU, I was cast as Irina in Anton Chekhov's play, Three Sisters. You know it. Over there knows it. She was an ingenue with big dreams of going back to Moscow. She's the lead part. She's one of the three sisters. She was an easy character to relate to as an actor and for an audience to root for. In the play, Irina has to deal with her bossy sister-in-law, Natasha, who moves in after marrying Irina's brother and then proceeds to take over the household. Natasha even kicks out the woman who raised the three sisters and Irina out of her own room. In a nutshell, total evil stepsister vibes. Flash forward a few years after graduation, I'm in LA, and I'm cast again in the same play, but this time as Natasha, the evil sister-in-law. 3 years later, and I had already aged out of ingenue roles. So no longer was I Team Irina, I had to be Team Natasha now. Back at BU, I'd been taught that when you portray a character, you have to step into their shoes, or in the Zoo Animal Project, their hooves. So suddenly I was forced to understand this Chekhovian Karen. This was a challenge. I had learned to hate Natasha in college while playing Irina. It was very difficult to be empathic toward this character. I was struggling in rehearsals. It took me a while, but eventually I started to realize Natasha wasn't a villain at all. She was misunderstood. From her perspective, Irina and her sisters were cold and unwelcoming and privileged. Through empathy, I gained a new understanding. Both characters were complicated, vulnerable, fallible human beings. And Natasha, she became one of my favorite roles I've ever played. Empathy is essential, not just for characters in a play, but for each other. Empathy makes people feel seen, heard, and known. It creates an environment of respect and care. I remember so clearly a time in my professional life where someone else's empathy made all the difference. It was the first season on the TV show Bones. There are some fans. First seasons are always a pressure cooker. Writers are discovering the voice of the show, the studio's discovering if they've wasted their money, and the hours are usually crazy. I was in my late 20s, and this was my first lead role on TV. A huge, huge step for me. Now, I was trying to be a good actor while consistently working 14 to 16-hour days and then staying up late into the night memorizing terms like epiphyseal fusion, zygomatic arch, and mass spectrometer. Shout out to forensic anthropology grads out there. You know what I'm talking about. The stress was overwhelming. One day, my boss, Hart Hansen, the showrunner, knocked on my trailer door, which was unusual. Perhaps he wanted to pay me a compliment for what a good job I was doing? He did not. He sat me down and told me the studio had concerns about my work. Concerns? I was crushed. I'd been giving the show my best, but it still wasn't good enough. The studio said that I was late and unprepared. I'm jealous of all you guys with the hats on right now. Sure, I wanted to explain that the multi-car pileup was the reason I was late the other day, or that I hadn't been sleeping at all, that stress had made it hard to retain the lines I knew so well the day before, but it didn't matter, because in my business, if you're not performing, you're not performing. So I took the feedback, I tried to focus on the work. Even though now I had concerns about getting fired. The next day, I came to work determined to prove I was a professional they could count on. I walked onto the sound stage, only to be met with the one thing more terrifying than getting fired, a surprise birthday celebration. It was my birthday after all. And standing around the cake, singing, were the presidents of the studio and the network. Sure, They were all there to celebrate my birthday, a nice gesture. But all I could see were the very people who were judging me and thinking I couldn't do my job. So I did what any professional actor trying to redeem themselves would do. I burst into tears and I ran off the set. Now I was definitely getting fired. Instead, Hart, my boss, stepped in. He told everyone to take a break, and he went to find me, huddled, nobly, in a weepy ball in my trailer. He assured me that I hadn't blown up my career. Despite the fact that Hart was under crazy pressure himself, pulling his own late nights, dealing with his own criticism from the network and studio, he took time he didn't have to problem solve with me and help me find a better process. This may not sound revelatory for him to show compassion, but our business is filled with bombastic personalities, narcissists. Hart wasn't like that. Then again, Hart is Canadian. Weeks later, he knocked on my door, but this time, it was good news. We'd been picked up for 9 more episodes. Hart had shown me empathy, and in doing so, he created an environment where I could actually succeed, not just for 9 more episodes, but for 233 more. Sometimes the hardest empathy to have is for ourselves. Early on in my career, one of my first professional auditions, I was incredibly nervous. I was visibly shaking. My voice was shaking, my hands were shaking, the pages in my hands were shaking, everything was shaking. Try as I might, I couldn't help it. And the men I was auditioning for began to laugh. Try as they might, I guess they couldn't help it either. So I did what any professional actor trying to redeem themselves would do. I burst into tears and I ran off. Are you sensing a pattern? What can I say? I'm an actor, I'm dramatic. I had to find compassion and empathy for myself in the situation and many more like it. This didn't come easily for me, so I'm glad to be able to share this lesson with you today. Remember that you are a human being who will make mistakes. You will fail. There will be times when you will have your own version of bursting into tears in front of 200 people and running away because you are overwhelmed by the pressure. Be gentle with yourself. Yes, you can challenge yourself, expect more from yourself, but why not also be kind? Empathy isn't weakness. It's not about letting people off the hook for their behavior or choices. It's about understanding what led to those choices so you can decide how to respond from a place of authenticity. Empathy is what inspires action and leads to compassionate change in the world. So, as you turn your tassels and begin your journey, you will no doubt encounter many perspectives very different from your own. From future coworkers, future partners, future Russian sister-in-laws. Whether your job is on a soundstage, in a lab, or like in my case, in a lab on a soundstage, take the time to understand, to walk in their shoes, or heels, or hooves. These days, empathy feels like it's in short supply. The world doesn't just need your skills, it needs your perspective, your patience, the courage to understand before judging. So bring empathy with you for everyone you will encounter, but also for yourself. For the version of yourself just starting out, for the one who will most certainly face intense pressure, for the one who messes up, or doubts, or doesn't have it all figured out just yet. Empathy isn't just what you offer others, it's what helps you carry yourself forward. And I hope you carry both. And hey, you never know. That person you thought was the villain might just become your favorite. Congratulations to the class of 2025. Go Terriers!